The shuttle dropped through the purple clouds, and Minho pressed his face against the window. Below him, the Veltharian capital city sparkled like a jewel. Towers made of crystal reached toward the sky, and bridges of light connected them. He had seen many alien worlds, but this one took his breath away. "Captain Park, we're landing in 5 minutes," the pilot said through the speaker. Minho straightened his uniform and checked his appearance one last time. His dark hair was neatly combed, and his medals sat properly on his chest. The largest medal was new, the Star of Valor. He had earned it 3 months ago when he saved a Veltharian colony from space pirates. That medal was the reason he was here today. The shuttle touched down on a landing pad made of smooth white stone. When the door opened, Minho stepped out into warm, sweet-smelling air. A line of Veltharian guards stood at attention. They were tall, much taller than humans, with blue skin that seemed to glow slightly. Their eyes were large and golden, and they wore armor that looked like it was made from polished silver. A Veltharian official walked forward. She wore long robes of deep purple, and her movements were graceful and precise. "Captain Park," she said in perfect English. "Welcome to Veltharis Prime. I am High Attendant Cora. The Queen awaits you." Minho bowed slightly, the way he had been taught. "Thank you for the invitation. It is an honor." Cora led him through the palace. Minho tried not to stare, but everything was beautiful. The walls glowed with soft light. Streams of water floated through the air without pipes or channels, held in place by some technology he did not understand. Gardens grew on the ceilings with flowers that sang quiet melodies. Other aliens walked through the halls. Minho recognized some species, the insect-like Tren, the furry Gorthon, the floating mystics. All of them were here for the ceremony that would honor him. The Veltharian Empire was powerful, and their approval meant everything in this part of the galaxy. Finally, they reached 2 massive doors. Guards pushed them open, and Minho entered the throne room. It was enormous. The ceiling was so high that Minho could barely see it. Hundreds of aliens stood in organized rows on both sides of a long purple carpet. At the far end, on a throne of white crystal, sat Queen Ixara. She was breathtaking. Her blue skin was darker than the others, almost navy, and her golden eyes seemed to see everything at once. A crown of living light floated above her head. Her robes were made of fabric that changed colors as she moved, purple, then silver, then gold. Next to the throne, on a smaller chair, sat a younger Veltharian. She was smaller than the queen, and her skin was a lighter shade of blue. She wore a simple white dress, but she wore it like armor. Her eyes met Minho's, and he felt a strange shock run through him. "Captain Minho Park of Earth," Cora announced in a loud voice, "hero of the Battle of Crestfall Station, savior of 7,000 Veltharian civilians." The room fell silent. Minho walked forward on the purple carpet. He had been told to walk until he was 20 paces from the throne, then kneel. He counted his steps carefully. When he reached the right spot, he went down on one knee and bowed his head. "Captain Park," the Queen's voice was rich and warm. "Rise and be recognized." Minho stood. Queen Ixara looked at him with an expression he could not read. "3 months ago, your ship encountered one of our colony stations under attack. You were outmatched and outgunned. Your orders were to retreat and call for reinforcements, but you did not retreat. Instead, you held the line until our fleet arrived. Because of your courage, 7,000 of my people still live. Children still have parents. Parents still have children." The Queen stood, and everyone in the room went completely still. Such courage deserves recognition beyond simple medals. Today, I grant you the title of Friend of the Empire. You may walk any Veltharian world freely. You may speak, and we will listen. You may ask, and we will consider. Minho felt his chest swell with pride. This was more than he had hoped for, more than humanity had dared to dream. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I accept this honor on behalf of all humanity." Queen Ixara smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of someone who held all the cards in a game. "There is more," she said. "Much more. I wish to present to you my daughter, Crown Princess Yuna." The young Veltharian stood. She walked down the steps from her chair and stood next to her mother. Up close, Minho could see that her golden eyes had flecks of green in them. She was beautiful in a way that transcended species. There was intelligence in her face, grace in her movements, and something else. Something sad. "My daughter chose a human name when your people made first contact," the queen said. "She has great interest in your culture. She has studied your history, your art, your music. She finds humanity fascinating." Yuna bowed slightly to Minho. He bowed back, not sure what else to do. "Captain Park," the queen continued, "in my culture, when someone saves the lives of royal subjects, they earn the right to ask for a great favor. You have saved thousands. Therefore, I will grant you something beyond price." The queen paused. The entire room seemed to hold its breath. "I offer you a courtship bond with my daughter, Princess Yuna. In 7 days, you will be joined in a formal bonding ceremony. You will become a prince of the Veltharian Empire. Your children will be heirs to our throne. Humanity will be forever joined to our people." The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Minho felt the floor shift beneath him. "This is the highest honor our people can bestow," the queen said. "No human has ever been offered such a position. Through this bond, your entire species will rise in galactic standing. Earth will be protected by our fleets. Your colonies will prosper under our guidance." Minho opened his mouth, but no words came out. He looked at Princess Yuna. She stared straight ahead, her face calm and composed. But her hands, folded in front of her, were trembling slightly. "You will have 7 days to prepare yourself," Queen Ixara said. "My attendants will teach you our bonding customs. You will learn what it means to be Veltharian. And then, before this court and the entire galaxy, you will speak your vows." The queen sat back down on her throne. "Do you accept this honor, Captain Park?" Minho's mind raced. He thought of Earth. He thought of humanity's struggle to find its place among the stars. He thought of the benefits this marriage would bring. Then he thought of Jiwan's face, her smile, her laugh, the way she looked at him before he left on this mission. He started. "You need not answer now," the queen interrupted. "You have 7 days. Use them wisely." She waved her hand, and attendants rushed forward to guide Minho away. As he left the throne room, he looked back one more time. Princess Yuna was watching him, and in her eyes, he saw something that made his stomach clench. She looked like a prisoner watching her cell door close. The royal guest quarters were larger than Minho's entire apartment back on Earth. Everything was beautiful and expensive. The bed was so soft it felt like floating on clouds. But Minho could not sleep. He sat by the window looking out at the glowing city. His communicator buzzed. It was Ambassador Sora Kim, the head of the human diplomatic team on Veltharis Prime. "Captain Park," Sora's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but excited. "I just heard the news. This is incredible. Do you understand what this means for humanity?" Minho rubbed his eyes. "I think I'm starting to." "Starting to?" Sora leaned forward. "Captain, this marriage would change everything. Earth would have direct protection from the most powerful empire in this sector. Our colonies would be safe. Our trade routes would be secure. Our children would grow up in a galaxy that respects us, instead of seeing us as weak newcomers." "I know," Minho said quietly. "Then what's the problem? You look like someone sentenced to prison instead of someone offered a kingdom." Minho did not know how to explain. "Ambassador, what do you know about the princess?" Sora pulled up files on her own screen. "Princess Yuna, only child of Queen Ixara, 28 years old in Veltharian years, which translates to about 30 human years. Educated in politics, military strategy, and xenocultural studies. She's considered the most desirable match in the Empire. Hundreds of high-ranking Veltharians have requested courtship rights. The Queen has refused them all." "Until now," Minho said. "Until you." Sora smiled. "You should feel honored." "I do feel honored. That's not the issue." Sora's smile faded. "Then what is the issue, Captain?" Minho was silent for a long moment. "I don't love her. I don't even know her. So, You'll get to know her. You have 7 days before the ceremony, and an entire lifetime afterward. Ambassador in Veltharian culture, can she refuse this arrangement? Sora hesitated. From what I understand, no. The queen has made the decision. The princess will fulfill her duty. And if I refuse? Sora's face went pale. Captain, you cannot refuse. Do you understand what an insult that would be? In their culture, refusing a royal bonding offer is like declaring war. It means you find the royal family unworthy. It would destroy every relationship we've built with the Veltharian Empire. So I don't have a choice either, Minho said. You have a choice between doing your duty to humanity or throwing away our future because of… What? Cold feet? Minho ended the call. He knew Sora was right, but that did not make it easier. The next morning, Veltharian attendants arrived to teach him their customs. They showed him how to bow properly during bonding ceremonies. They explained the meaning of different ritual gestures. They taught him phrases in their language. In the afternoon, Princess Yuna came to visit him. She entered quietly, with only 2 guards. When Minho started to bow, she raised a hand. Please don't, she said. We are to be bonded. Such formality is not necessary between us. She sat on one of the soft chairs and gestured for him to sit across from her. Up close, in the natural light, she was even more striking. But there was a careful control to her expression, like she was wearing a mask. You seem troubled, Yuna said. Is our world not to your liking? Your world is beautiful, Minho said honestly. More beautiful than I could have imagined. But you are not happy about the bonding. It was not a question. Minho did not know how to answer without offending her. Yuna smiled slightly. You do not hide your feelings well, Captain. Humans are very easy to read. Your faces show everything. I apologize if I have offended you, Princess. You have not. I find your honesty refreshing. She looked out the window. Most people tell me only what they think I want to hear. May I ask you a question? Minho said. Of course. Did you know your mother was going to offer this bonding? Yuna was quiet for a moment. I knew she was considering it. I did not know she had decided until the moment she announced it in the throne room. And how do you feel about it? Yuna looked at him with those strange golden green eyes. How I feel is not relevant. I am Crown Princess of the Veltharian Empire. My bonding is not about my feelings. It is about duty, alliance, and the good of my people. But don't you want to choose who you… Minho struggled for words. Who you spend your life with? Want? Yuna repeated the word like it was foreign. Captain, I have been taught since childhood that want is a luxury for common people. Royal blood carries responsibility. We do not marry for want. We marry for purpose. On Earth, we believe everyone should marry for love, even royalty. Yuna tilted her head. Love. This is the human concept I have studied most. It is fascinating. You write songs about it. You make art about it. You claim to die for it. But I do not fully understand it. What don't you understand? How can a feeling be more important than duty? How can something so unpredictable and temporary form the basis for a lifetime bond? Veltharian bonds are built on mutual respect, compatible status, and shared purpose. These things are stable. Love, from what I read, is not stable at all. Minho thought about Jiwon. He thought about the way his heart beat faster when she smiled. The way time seemed to stop when they talked. The way he missed her even now, light years away. Maybe love isn't stable, he said slowly. But it's real. When you love someone, you choose them every day. Not because you have to, because you want to. There is that word again, want. Yuna stood and walked to the window. Captain, I will be honest with you. I do not love you. I do not know if I can love you. But I can respect you. I can be loyal to you. I can be a good partner in building a life together. Is that not enough? For you, maybe, Minho said. But He stopped. How could he explain? There was someone back on Earth. They had not made promises. They had not said the words. But in his heart he knew. He knew who he wanted. There is someone else, Yuna said. It was not a question. Minho nodded. Are you bonded to this person? No, we never, we didn't have time before I left. Then you are free to bond with me, Yuna said simply. Where is the problem? The problem is that my heart already chose her. Yuna sat back down. She leaned forward, genuinely curious. But if there is no formal bond, how can your heart be committed? This is what I do not understand about humans. You create obligations from feelings instead of feelings from obligations. Maybe that's our way, Minho said. Maybe it makes us messy and complicated, but it's also what makes us us. Yuna was quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. Captain Park, I will tell you something I have told no one else. Sometimes, late at night, I look at the stars and wonder what it would be like to choose. To wake up one morning and decide to go left instead of right. Not because duty demands it, but simply because I want to. I wonder what it feels like to want something so badly that you would risk everything for it. She stood up. But I am not human. I am Veltharian. And I will do my duty, even if I do not understand your hesitation. I hope you will do the same. She left, and Minho sat alone in the beautiful room, feeling like the walls were closing in. 5 days passed. Minho attended lessons on Veltharian culture. He met with diplomats and nobles who congratulated him. He smiled and nodded and said the right things. But inside, he felt like he was drowning. Every night he lay awake thinking. Ambassador Sora sent him messages reminding him of his duty. Other human diplomats called to tell him how proud Earth was. His own captain sent a message saying this bonding would secure humanity's future in the galaxy. Only one person did not contact him. G1. He had sent her a message explaining the situation, but she had not replied. Maybe she was angry. Maybe she had moved on. Or maybe, like him, she just did not know what to say. On the 6th evening, Princess Yuna invited him to a private dinner. They ate in a small garden on one of the palace towers. The food was strange but good. Yuna had learned to use human-style chairs for his comfort. They talked about small things at first. She asked about Earth. He asked about Veltharian history. It was pleasant, almost easy. Under different circumstances, Minho thought, they might have been friends. Tomorrow is the ceremony, Yuna said, setting down her cup. Are you prepared? Minho looked at his plate. Princess, I need to tell you something. I already know, she said quietly. You are going to refuse. Minho's head snapped up. How did you? I see it in your face, in the way you avoid looking at me, in the way you seem to shrink when people discuss the ceremony. She sighed. I have known for 3 days now. I'm sorry, Minho said. I truly am. You are remarkable. Any man would be lucky. Please do not, Yuna interrupted. Do not give me kind lies. I do not need them. They sat in silence. The night sky above them was full of stars and 3 small moons. What will you say to my mother? Yuna asked. The truth. That I cannot accept this bonding. That it would be dishonest to pretend feelings I do not have. Yuna laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Captain, you do not understand what you are doing. My mother will see this as the greatest insult. She may have you executed. At minimum, she will exile you and cut all ties with humanity. I know the risks. Do you? Yuna leaned forward. Do you truly? Your entire species will pay for your choice. Children will suffer. People will die in conflicts they could have avoided. And for what? For this thing you call love? Yes, Minho said simply. Yuna stared at him. I do not understand you. I have tried, but I do not. How can one person's feelings matter more than millions of lives? Because if I betray my own heart, I betray everything that makes me human. And if I do that, what good am I to anyone? Yuna stood up and walked to the edge of the tower. Below them, the city glowed like a blanket of stars. You know what I envy most about humans? She said. You are allowed to be selfish. You are allowed to put your own happiness first. In my culture, such thinking is shameful. We are taught from birth that the individual does not matter. Only the empire matters. She turned to face him. But I will tell you a secret, Captain. Late at night, when I am alone, I dream of being selfish. I dream of running away to some distant world where no one knows I am a princess, where I could just be Yuna, where I could choose. Then choose now, Minho said. Come with me tomorrow. Tell your mother you refuse to. Yuna smiled sadly. I cannot. I am not as brave as you, or perhaps I am not as foolish. I do not know which you are. She walked back to the table. I will ask you one more time to reconsider. Not for me, not even for your people, but for yourself. After tomorrow, your life will be much harder. You will be famous across the galaxy as the human who insulted the Veltharian crown. Some will call you brave. Most will call you stupid. Is this really the path you choose? Minho thought about it. He thought about the easy life he could have, the power, the luxury, the safety for Earth. All he had to do was say yes. All he had to do was forget about G1, forget about love, forget about choice. Yes, he said, this is my choice. Yuna nodded slowly. Then I will give you one gift. Tomorrow, when you speak to my mother, I will not argue against you. I will not demand punishment. It is the only help I can offer. Why would you help me? Because, Yuna said softly, part of me hopes you succeed. Part of me hopes that your human ideas about choice and love are stronger than our Veltharian certainties about duty and obligation. If you can stand before my mother and make her understand, then maybe… She trailed off. Maybe what? Maybe there is hope for people like me too. The next morning, Minho put on his dress uniform. His hands shook as he fastened the buttons. He looked at himself in the mirror. His face was pale but determined. Ambassador Sora came to his room. She looked angry and scared. Please tell me you are not actually doing this, she said. I have to. You do not have to do anything except your duty. Sora slammed her hand on the table. Captain, I am ordering you to go through with this ceremony. As your superior officer and as Earth's representative, with respect, Ambassador, you cannot order me to marry someone. I can order you to serve humanity's interests. And I am, Minho said calmly. If I go through with this bonding, I teach the galaxy that humans can be bought, that our values can be traded away for safety and power. Is that the message we want to send? Sora stared at him. For a moment, she looked very old. They will kill you, she whispered. Or worse. And then they will cut ties with Earth. Everything we have built will fall apart. Maybe, Minho said. Or maybe they will respect us more for standing by our principles. That is a huge gamble. Yes, it is. At noon, Minho was escorted to the throne room. It was even more crowded than before. Word had spread across the palace that something unusual might happen. Aliens from dozens of species packed the hall. Queen Ixara sat on her throne. She wore robes of pure gold, and her crown of light burned brighter than before. Princess Yuna sat in her usual place, her face calm and unreadable. Minho walked down the purple carpet. When he reached the proper place, he knelt. Captain Park, the Queen's voice rang out. Today, you will speak your vows and be joined to my daughter. Are you prepared? Minho took a deep breath. This was it. The moment that would change everything. Your Majesty, he said clearly. I cannot accept this bonding. The room erupted. Aliens gasped and shouted. The Queen's guard stepped forward, hands on their weapons. Ambassador Sora put her head in her hands. Queen Ixara raised one hand, and silence fell like a hammer. What did you say? Her voice was very quiet, very dangerous. Minho stood. His legs wanted to shake, but he forced them to be steady. I cannot accept the bonding, Your Majesty. I am deeply honored by your offer, but I must refuse. The Queen stood slowly. She seemed to grow larger, more terrible. Her eyes blazed with golden fire. You dare refuse my daughter? You dare insult the crown of the Veltharian Empire? I mean no insult, Your Majesty. Guards, the Queen shouted. Arrest him. He will be… Mother, wait. Yuna's voice cut through the chaos. Everyone froze. Princess Yuna had stood. She looked at her mother, then at Minho. Let him explain, Yuna said. He has earned that much. Queen Ixara looked at her daughter with surprise. Then she looked back at Minho, Her expression was pure rage barely contained. "Very well," she said coldly. "Explain, human. Tell me why you reject the greatest gift the galaxy can offer. Tell me." Her voice rose to a shout that echoed off the crystal walls. "Human, why don't you adore my daughter?" The court held its breath. Every eye in the room turned to Minho. He stood alone before the most powerful ruler in the sector, and he began to speak. Minho looked up at the queen. Every being in the throne room was watching him. This was the moment his entire life had been leading to. One wrong word and he would die. Humanity's alliance would crumble. Everything would fall apart. But if he could not speak the truth now, then when would he ever be able to? "Your Majesty," he began, his voice steady and clear. "You ask why I do not adore your daughter. That question is exactly why I must refuse this bonding." Confusion rippled through the crowd. The queen's eyes narrowed. Minho continued, "Princess Yuna is extraordinary. She is intelligent, graceful, and kind. She has spent years studying my culture. She has shown me nothing but respect and patience. Any being in this galaxy would be honored by her attention." He paused and looked directly at the queen. "But you did not ask if I respect her. You did not ask if I find her worthy. You asked if I adore her. And that, Your Majesty, is precisely the problem." The queen's hand gripped her throne. "Explain yourself." "In human culture, adoration is not something we decide. Love is not something we command. These feelings cannot be forced or manufactured, no matter how advantageous it would be." Minho's voice grew stronger. "You gave me 7 days to prepare for this bonding, 7 days to learn your customs and your language, 7 days to meet your daughter, and you expect that in this time, I should have fallen in love with her?" "Love will come with time," Queen Ixara said coldly. "Respect and duty build strong foundations. Feelings follow." "Perhaps in your culture," Minho said, "but not in mine. If I stood before you today and claimed to adore Princess Yuna after knowing her for 7 days, I would be lying. And if I can lie about something so important, what value do my promises have?" He turned slightly to address the entire court, not just the queen. "Your Majesty asks why I do not adore her daughter. Let me answer with another question. What would it mean if I did? What would it say about humans if we could fall in love on command? If our hearts could be bought with offers of power and safety?" Ambassador Sora was staring at him with wide eyes. Minho pressed on. "My people have a long history. We have made many mistakes. We have fought terrible wars. But one thing we learned after centuries of pain is this. When you force people into bonds they do not choose, when you arrange lives based on duty instead of desire, those lives become prisons. Those bonds become chains." "You speak of prison?" The queen's voice was dangerous. "I offer you a kingdom and you call it prison? Not for me, Your Majesty, for your daughter." The room went completely silent. Princess Yuna's eyes widened slightly. Minho looked at her. Princess Yuna deserves better than a husband who married her out of obligation. She deserves someone who chose her freely. Someone who sees her not as a political advantage but as a person. Someone who loves her, not because it was commanded, but because they cannot help it. He turned back to the queen. "Your Majesty, you have offered me incredible power, a place in your family, protection for my entire species. These are gifts beyond measure, but you cannot give me the one thing that would make this bonding right. You cannot give me love for your daughter. That must grow naturally between two people who choose each other freely." "Then you will grow that love after the ceremony," the queen shouted. "That is how bondings work." "Is it?" Minho asked quietly. "Your Majesty, let me tell you about human bondings. When humans marry, we make a promise. We say we will love that person through everything. Through sickness and health, through good times and bad, through youth and old age. These promises are sacred to us, but they only have meaning because we choose to make them." He took a step forward. The guards tensed, but the queen held up a hand. "If I speak those vows tomorrow without meaning them, I turn them into empty words. I cheapen not just my own honor, but the entire concept of human promises. When another human says, 'I love you,' to a Veltharian someday, that Veltharian will remember me. They will remember the human who said words of adoration without feeling them. And they will wonder if love is real or just another lie we tell to get what we want. Minho's voice grew passionate. I refuse your daughter not because she is lacking. I refuse because she deserves better. The crown princess of the Veltharian Empire should not have to wonder if her husband actually cares for her or just wanted access to power. She should not have to spend her life with someone who chose duty over desire. Duty is desire in our culture. Queen Ixara stood from her throne. You judge us by human standards, but we are not human. You are right, Minho said, and I am not Veltharian. I cannot pretend to be. If I go through with this ceremony, I will be living a lie every single day. Is that the foundation you want for your daughter's happiness? The queen opened her mouth to respond, but Minho was not finished. Your Majesty, my people have a saying. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds. It means real love is constant. Real love is chosen every day, not just once. Real love cannot be bought or traded or arranged. It simply is, or it is not. He took a deep breath. I stand here today not to insult you or your daughter. I stand here to tell the truth. The truth is that I respect Princess Yuna deeply. I admire her intelligence and grace. If circumstances were different, perhaps we could have been friends. But I do not love her. And I will not claim to love her just because it is convenient. You would throw away everything for this? The queen asked. Your career? Your people's safety? Your own life? If I betray my principles now, I have no career worth having. If humanity's safety requires me to lie about love, then we are not as strong as we should be. And if I must die for speaking the truth, then at least I die honestly. Minho looked around the throne room. Aliens from dozens of species watched him. Some looked angry, some looked confused, but some looked thoughtful. Your Majesty, you built an empire on duty and obligation. Those are powerful forces. They create order and stability. I do not deny their value. But humans built something different. We built families and societies on choice, on the idea that bonds formed freely are stronger than bonds formed from duty. He turned to Princess Yuna. Princess, you told me you do not understand the human concept of want. You asked how something so unpredictable could form the basis for a lifetime bond. Let me try to explain. When I think of the person I love back on Earth, my heart beats faster. My day feels brighter. I want to know her thoughts. I want to share my life with her not because I have to, but because a life without her would feel incomplete. He looked back at the queen. That is what your daughter deserves. Not duty, not obligation, not a husband who chose power over love. She deserves someone who wants her so badly they cannot imagine choosing anyone else. The throne room was completely silent now. No one moved. No one breathed. Minho straightened his uniform one last time. I know my refusal today may destroy the alliance between our peoples. I know I may die for this choice. I know I am gambling with millions of lives. But if I stay silent, if I accept this bonding out of fear, then I prove that human values mean nothing. I prove that we will abandon our beliefs the moment they become inconvenient. His voice rang out clear and strong. So yes, Your Majesty, I refuse. Not because your daughter is unworthy, but because fake love is worse than no love at all. Not because I do not care about my people, but because I care enough to show the galaxy who we really are. We are humans. We are messy and complicated and emotional. We make mistakes. But when we say, I love you, we mean it. And that has to count for something. Minho went back down on one knee. Do with me what you will, Your Majesty. I have spoken my truth. I can do no more. The silence that followed was absolute. Minho stared at the purple carpet and waited for the guards to drag him away. He waited for his execution to be announced. Instead, he heard something unexpected. The sound of someone clapping. He looked up. Princess Yuna was standing. She was applauding slowly, deliberately. Tears ran down her blue cheeks, but she was smiling. Well said, Captain Park, she said softly. Well said indeed. The sound of Princess Yuna's applause echoed through the throne room. Every alien present turned to stare at her in shock. In Veltharian culture, no one moved or spoke during a royal judgment, but Yuna kept clapping, slow and steady. Mother, she said, Still applauding. This human has just given me the greatest gift anyone has ever offered. Queen Ixara looked at her daughter with complete confusion. What are you talking about? He has insulted our family. No. Yuna stopped clapping and walked down from her throne. She moved to stand beside Minho, who was still kneeling. He has done something no one in this empire has ever done. He has told me the truth. He has treated me like a person instead of a prize to be won or a tool to be used. She looked down at Minho and gestured for him to stand. He rose slowly, unsure what was happening. For my entire life, Yuna continued, people have praised me. They have called me beautiful and wise and perfect, but none of them ever asked what I wanted. None of them ever considered that being the perfect princess might be its own kind of prison. She turned to face her mother. Captain Park is right, Mother. He is right about everything. I do deserve better than a husband who chose duty over desire. And so does he. So does every being in this room. So does everyone in the galaxy. Yuna, the Queen's voice was warning. You do not know what you are saying. I know exactly what I am saying. Yuna's voice was stronger now, more confident. I have studied human culture for years. I have read their stories and listened to their music. I have tried to understand why they value choice so much. And today, watching this man risk everything to defend that principle, I finally understand. She addressed the entire court. We Veltharians pride ourselves on our strength, on our order, on our empire. But what good is an empire if the people in it are not allowed to choose their own paths? What good is power if it comes at the cost of truth? Enough! Queen Ixara's voice cracked like thunder. You are speaking nonsense. This human has confused you with his pretty words. His words were not pretty, Mother. They were honest. And honesty is something our court desperately needs. The Queen stood and descended from her throne. She walked toward her daughter, her face a mixture of anger and confusion. Do you wish to refuse the bonding? The Queen asked quietly. Is that what this is about? Yuna was silent for a long moment. Minho could see her hands trembling at her sides. Yes, Yuna finally said. I wish to refuse it. Not because I dislike Captain Park, but because I want to choose who I bond with. And I want that person to choose me freely in return. The Queen looked as if her daughter had struck her. She turned to her advisors, who were whispering frantically among themselves. One of the advisors, an old Veltharian with deep purple skin, stepped forward. Your Majesty, he said carefully, perhaps we should consider this situation more deeply. The human has made some valid points. If we force this bonding, or if we punish him for his honesty, what message does that send to other species? They will see us as tyrants who care nothing for individual choice. We are not tyrants, the Queen snapped. We are bringing order to a chaotic galaxy. Order at what cost? Another voice called out. Everyone turned. It was a Tren diplomat, one of the insect-like aliens. His translator device buzzed as he spoke. I have been watching this exchange with great interest. On my world, we also practice arranged bondings. But we have recently begun to question this tradition. Young Tren are asking for the right to choose their own partners. We have been uncertain how to respond. This human speech has given us much to think about. Other voices began to join in. A mystic floated forward, her form shimmering. On my world, bonds are formed through mental connection. Two minds choose to merge. It cannot be forced. Perhaps the humans are right that choice is the foundation of real connection. More and more aliens spoke up. Some defended the Veltharian tradition, others questioned it. The throne room became filled with debate. Queen Ixara raised her hand, and silence fell again. She looked very tired suddenly, and much older. Captain Park, she said finally, stand before me. Minho stepped forward. His heart was pounding so hard he thought everyone could hear it. You have caused chaos in my court, the Queen said. You have turned my own daughter against tradition. You have made me question beliefs I have held for centuries. She paused. You have also shown more courage than most beings I have met. And she struggled with the words, and perhaps you have shown me something I needed to see, even if I do not like it. The Queen looked at her daughter. Yuna stood tall, not backing down. Very well, Queen Ixara said. Captain Park, You are free to leave. The bonding is cancelled. The alliance between our peoples will continue, though it will be complicated. Relief flooded through Minho. He had survived. Humanity had survived. However, the Queen continued, her voice hardening, I issue a challenge. You claim that human bonds formed from choice are stronger than our bonds formed from duty. You will have a chance to prove this claim. She gestured broadly. I declare that all future bondings in the Veltharian Empire will be optional. Young Veltharians may choose their own partners or refuse arrangements made for them. We will see if choice leads to stronger bonds or weaker ones. If in 10 years your way proves superior, I will acknowledge it publicly. But if our empire suffers, if our traditions crumble, then humanity will be held responsible. Mother, Yuna gasped. You wanted choice, daughter? You shall have it. All of you shall have it. The Queen looked around the room. This is my decree. Let it be known across the empire. She sat back on her throne, looking exhausted. Now leave, Captain, before I change my mind. Minho bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty. As he turned to go, Yuna caught his arm. Thank you, she whispered. You gave me something I did not know I needed. What's that? Minho asked. A voice. The next week was chaos. Minho gave interviews to news services from dozens of worlds. His speech was broadcast across the galaxy. Some praised him as a hero. Others called him a fool who got lucky. Still others claimed he had destroyed an important alliance. Ambassador Sora barely spoke to him. When she did, her words were cold and formal. But right before Minho's shuttle left Veltharis Prime, she pulled him aside. You took a terrible risk, she said. But I suppose someone had to eventually. You agree with what I did? Sora sighed. I don't know. Ask me in 10 years when we see the results of the Queen's challenge, but I will say this. You showed the galaxy that humans stand by our values even when it costs us. That has to count for something. The shuttle ride back to human space was quiet. Minho spent most of it sleeping, exhausted from the stress. When he finally arrived back on Earth, the first thing he did was check his messages. There was one from Jiwan, just one, sent 3 days ago. I saw your speech. The whole galaxy saw your speech. I don't know what to say except, hurry home. We need to talk. Minho's hands shook as he read it. He sent a reply immediately. I'm on my way. It took 2 weeks to get back to Earth, to travel to the city where Jiwan lived, to walk up to her apartment building. He stood outside her door for 5 minutes, too nervous to knock. Finally, he raised his hand and tapped on the door. It opened. Jiwan stood there. She looked older than he remembered. Her hair was shorter. She had lines around her eyes that were new. But her smile was exactly the same. Hi, she said. Hi, Minho replied. They stared at each other for a long moment. So, Jiwan said, you refused to marry a princess for me. That's quite a story to live up to. I didn't do it just for you, Minho said honestly. I did it for me too, for us. For the idea of us anyway. The idea of us. Jiwan leaned against the doorframe. We never even dated officially, you know. You left before we could figure out what this was. I know, that's why I'm here now, to figure it out. Jiwan smiled wider. You risked everything on an idea, on a feeling that might not even be real. Yes? That's either the bravest thing I've ever heard or the stupidest. Maybe both, Minho admitted. Jiwan laughed. Then she stepped forward and hugged him. Minho wrapped his arms around her and felt something in his chest finally settle into place. This was right. This was real. Come inside, Jiwan said, pulling back. We have a lot to talk about, years to catch up on, and we should probably go on at least one actual date before you decide I'm worth starting a galactic incident over. Sounds perfect, Minho said. He followed her inside, and the door closed behind them. Far away, on Veltaris Prime, Princess Yuna stood in her private chambers looking at the stars. For the first time in her life, her future was not written for her. She could choose. The thought was terrifying and exciting at the same time. Her mother had set a challenge. In 10 years, they would see if choice led to stronger bonds than duty. Yuna smiled. She did not know what she would choose. She did not know who she would choose. But for the first time in her life, the choice would be hers. And that, she thought, was worth any amount of uncertainty. Across the galaxy, in 1,000 different worlds, young people watched the recording of the human's speech. They heard him speak about choice and love and the courage to want something freely. Some dismissed it, some argued against it, but some began to dream. And in a galaxy built on duty and obligation, dreams of choice were the most revolutionary force of all. The story of Captain Minho Park became legend. Some versions made him a hero, some made him a fool. But all versions agreed on one thing. He was the human who stood before the most powerful queen in the sector and said the one word she had never heard before. No. And in saying it, he changed everything.